Hello and welcome back to the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Training video series. My name is Chris Moon. I am an Associate Teaching Professor at Iowa State University in the Ivy College of Business Department of Accounting. In this lesson, we are going to talk about completing the return and concluding the interview with the client. These portions of the actual return process are really important just to make sure that we know what it is that we should or shouldn't keep, what we should get rid of, what we should destroy, and what the taxpayer should keep. So printing and storing returns. The taxpayer must receive a copy of their tax return. And in most cases, we will be electronically filing the federal and state return for the taxpayer. Even though we do that, we want to print out a copy of the return and with the appropriate schedules and go over that with the client. We want to make sure the names and social security numbers are accurate and legible on every sheet, and we want to assemble it in order. It actually should print in order for you when you print it out, but make sure everything's in order and go through it with the client. So we want to make sure that the client is able to view the entire return. Again, it's important to note that everything on the return is the client's responsibility. They are the ones that are giving us the information, and so they need to review the return to make sure that all of that information is accurate. So we are going to print it, go over it with the client, and then give it to the client to keep. You should have, hopefully you'll have envelopes on site that you can put the tax year and the VITA site listed on that envelope so the taxpayer has information of what year return it is. We then should explain to the taxpayer how the e-file process works. Every site is different. At my site, the returns are all electronically filed the following day. At some sites, they are filed on the spot. And so just make sure that you're familiar with what your practice is, and that way you can describe to the client how and when their return will be e-filed so they know when to expect that to be done. A lot of times the taxpayers do ask us when to expect their refund. We don't really have a good way of giving them a definitive answer to that question. And really it varies depending on the tax year. So I do oftentimes tell the taxpayer that then a good estimate is 4 to 6 weeks once it's e-filed, but that it could take longer or they might receive it much quicker. So there's really no great answer for them. Make sure the taxpayer doesn't have any questions. We've gone over quite a bit of information here that can help you explain different deductions, income items, or credits to the clients if you need to. Explain where the taxpayer can go to get answers later. They a lot of times want to know where their refund is, and so if you go to the IRS website, go to the Where's My Refund page, they can type in the information from the return that you have provided them with, and they can then get that information to see what the expected date is of their refund. You could encourage the taxpayer to consider volunteering for VITA. Even if they can't prepare a tax return, sometimes they could be a greeter or volunteer in some other fashion. We really are in need of volunteers in the VITA program, so making sure that they know that they could do that if they wanted to. Making sure we have the taxpayer's contact information in case we need to contact them for some reason. Sincerely thanking them, reminding the taxpayer to take all the records with them, and making sure that we are not keeping any of those tax records. We should not have any of those on site. Okay, so finally, we talked about how to conclude the interview and the tax return, how to compile the tax return, which it should be printed for them, telling the taxpayer to keep all of those documents together, and that we are not going to maintain any of the hard copies of those documents on site. Letting the taxpayer know if they come back next year that the information will be, if they give permission, it'll be kept in the system so that we can repopulate some of that information for them next year if they so choose. and letting them know where they can go to get any further questions answered. All right, this concludes this training series. Feel free to reach out if you have additional questions, and I would be happy to answer them. Thank you so much.